Welcome back, friends. We've got some major new reports coming in, and things are heating up across Europe. But let's start in the UK, because this is just staggering. Apparently, an asylum seeker, someone who had committed a serious crime, was mistakenly released from a British prison right before he was supposed to be deported. Just let go. As you can imagine, this error immediately triggered protests. People are on the streets. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced that he is personally, quote, absolutely shocked by this unacceptable release of a criminal. A full-scale manhunt is now underway for this individual. How does this even happen? How does a system fail so badly that someone scheduled for deportation after a serious offense just walks out the door? It boggles the mind, and it shows a level of incompetence that is frankly terrifying. You know, this is the kind of story that drives me crazy, and it's why I do what I do. I used to be inside one of those massive, well-known media organizations. I saw firsthand how they spin, how they bury stories like this to fit a pre-approved narrative. I just couldn't do it anymore, so I walked away. Now I'm independent, I speak my mind, and I'm here to tell you what's really going on. If you believe in that mission, if you want the unfiltered truth, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and maybe, just maybe, think about becoming a channel sponsor. It's your support that keeps this independent voice alive. It means the world to me. All right, now let's jump over to Germany, where the political situation is just as chaotic. First, in a huge symbolic move, they just dynamited one of the country's symbols of nuclear energy. Two 160-meter-tall cooling towers from a former nuclear power plant in Bavaria were just blown up. These things were built in 1980 and had become landmarks over the last, almost 50 years. They say this demolition is just part of the planned decommissioning of all nuclear plants. Just like that, a piece of industrial history is gone. But that's nothing compared to the political demolition happening in the ruling coalition. The split there is getting wider by the day. Get this. The deputy chairwoman of the Social Democratic Party's parliamentary group, that's a party in the ruling coalition, was seen protesting with the far left, and she was right in the front ranks of a demonstration against her own coalition partner, Friedrich Merz, who leads the CDU/CSU bloc. No, you didn't mishear me. A top official from one ruling party is protesting her partner. As experts are pointing out, this really makes you wonder just one thing. Can this coalition even continue to function? The party is openly stating that the Social Democrats have no sympathy left for their partners in Merz's union. This is a 5-alarm fire inside the German government. This protest, by the way, was in Bielefeld. About 4,000 people turned out to demonstrate against Merz and his recent statements about, quote, changes in the urban landscape, which everyone understands is code for migration. The event was organized by an alliance against the right under the motto, We Are the Urban Landscape. And it wasn't just fringe groups. Partners from Merz's own union, like this coalition partner, Wiebke Esder, who is a Bundestag deputy, were right there. What a mess. And is Friedrich Merz backing down? Not a chance. In fact, he's doubling down. He just went to London and gave a speech where he slammed the migration policies of both Germany and other EU countries. He's clearly not reading the room, or he just doesn't care. Meanwhile, his big plan to cut bureaucracy in Germany is reportedly under threat of sabotage from his own ministers. So everything is incredibly complicated for the German leadership right now. And while all this infighting is happening, who benefits? You guessed it. The right-wing party, Alternative for Germany, AfD, is still holding on to the #1 spot in the political ratings. According to the very latest INSEE poll, the AfD's support did drop 1 point, but it's still at 26%. Merz's own CDU/CSU bloc also lost a point, dropping them to 24%. The establishment is fighting itself, and the outsiders are holding strong. Now let's head to France, because this next story is... well, it's just bizarre. Brigitte Macron has once again found herself in an awkward and frankly deeply strange situation. The wife of President Emmanuel Macron, as it's being reported by a major French 24/7 news channel, is listed in the official tax registry as a man. I'm not making this up. Her representative Tristan Bramet confirmed the story. Apparently, Brigitte recently discovered on the French tax website that her gender was listed as male and her name was registered as Jean-Michel. The First Lady is reportedly in shock and has already filed a formal complaint. You have to wonder, is this a clerical error of monumental proportions, or is it some kind of malicious prank? Given that since 2017 all sorts of wild theories about her have been circulating, this just throws gasoline on that fire, even though both Xi and Emmanuel Macron have repeatedly denied all those rumors. Also in France, the fallout from that audacious robbery at the Louvre continues. The museum has now been forced to move some of its most precious treasures into an underground vault at the Bank of France. This operation was carried out with maximum caution, under heavy police guard just to make sure nothing else disappeared on the way. They are literally emptying out parts of the Louvre for safety. After the theft, it came out that an unpublished report from the French Court of Auditors had already warned about massive security problems at the museum. This scandal has raised serious questions. Can you believe this? On an external perimeter of over a kilometer, there were only 5 cameras, and some of those weren't even working. Meanwhile, the criminals are still on the loose. The French police have even brought in specialists from Israel, something they apparently tried to hide at first. They're also checking the possibility of an inside job. The Paris prosecutor Laure Becchio says she's optimistic about finding them, but we'll see. And as if that's not enough, the director of the Bank of France has issued a stark warning to the entire country. He said that without major changes to the current situation, France is facing a debt loop and a total loss of trust from major financial institutions. All the agencies are worried about the political instability and the serious budget problems. This warning comes right in the middle of a deep political crisis and furious debates in Parliament over the new budget. France is really on the edge right now. It's a lot to take in, I know. If you're getting value from this breakdown, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel fight the algorithm. Now, let's keep going. Briefly, over in Italy, a pro-Palestinian demonstration in Turin escalated as expected into clashes with police. 2 officers and about 10 protesters were injured. It was pretty intense, and it's not clear when these protests will calm down. And speaking of unrest, add Portugal to the list. Public sector employees there held a massive national strike yesterday. It hit healthcare, education, public transport, utilities, you name it. The unions are demanding higher pay, career growth opportunities, and better social protections for public workers. We'll have to wait and see if the government is even listening. Now, let's turn to the United States. Starting tomorrow, Donald Trump kicks off a 6-day Asian tour, and it's shaping up to be potentially the most intense trip of his second presidential term. The main event, the entire purpose of this trip, is a meeting with China's leader, Xi Jinping. The American president is apparently hoping to cut some kind of grand bargain with Beijing on all the key issues, everything from trade tariffs to the fate of the video platform TikTok, which, as you know, remains a huge point of contention. But his first stop isn't Beijing, it's Malaysia. On Sunday, October 26th, he'll be at the ASEAN Summit, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. This is a big deal because Trump hasn't attended this summit since 2017. Experts are reading this as a clear attempt by the US to rebuild its influence in the region and, frankly, to seize the initiative back from China. Whether he can actually pull that off, well, the intrigue there is enormous. At the same time, the US is sending its largest aircraft carrier to the Caribbean. The official reason? To combat drug trafficking. But this move immediately hikes up tensions with Venezuela, especially after 9 US Navy strikes, whatever that means, since September. Venezuela's leader, Nicolas Maduro, has already responded, addressing Trump directly in English. He repeated several short phrases, calling on President Trump not to attack his country. No war, only peace, Maduro declared. So, we'll be watching that situation very, very closely. And in one more piece of Trump news, there's information that he will likely name the new White House ballroom after himself. Officials are reportedly already using the name President Donald J. Trump Ballroom. The American leader hasn't announced this publicly yet, but it's expected. And let's not forget, an entire wing of the White House was demolished on Trump's order just to build this new ballroom. So, a lot of interesting developments ahead, including, I'm sure, new victories, as they say. But let's leave all that complexity aside for a final bizarre story out of Poland today. At the Krakow airport, a 66-year-old Polish passenger was denied boarding her flight after making a terrible joke. It's really hard to understand what goes through someone's head. Border guards at the airport got a call from security about a passenger who had loudly and openly announced that there were explosives in her luggage. The woman was supposed to be flying to the Greek island of Rhodes for a vacation. Naturally, her joke was taken very, very seriously. They pulled her bags, did a thorough inspection, and of course, found no prohibited items. The woman was fined over €100 for providing false information and was promptly banned from her flight. She did not go on vacation. Can you imagine? Heading off on holiday and deciding the best icebreaker is to joke about a bomb in your bag. What unusual humor. But I guess, as they say, strange times, strange jokes. So, as we wrap up, think about what we've seen just today. A security failure and manhunt in the UK, a German ruling coalition literally protesting itself, while the AfD holds the top spot, bizarre security and administrative failures in France alongside a dire economic warning, Donald Trump heading to Asia to challenge Xi while flexing military muscle in the Caribbean, and unrest in both Italy and Portugal. Things are far from calm. That's what I'm tracking for you right now. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. And if you believe in this mission, if you want this independent perspective, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and consider becoming a channel sponsor. Your support is the only thing that makes this possible. I'll be back tomorrow. Stay safe, and let's hope for some genuinely good news. Take care.